Okay, to our teaching. Jeez. Hmm. You guys still hear me?
Can I kick out? I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. So here, let me get out of here. Technical issues. Cool. Hmm. Let's get started. Come on, man. Always seems like it's something. You know what I mean? Jeez. They kicked me out, you guys. I mean, come on. Cool. Let's go. Come on. Yeah. All right. Come on. Yeah. They kicked me out of my verification as well. I'm getting kicked out of everything since I changed my password. All right. I'm back. All right. Again, my apologies for the delay. But here we are. We're recording right now. Praise be to Yahweh. Go right here.
Okay, you're recording. I can
Yeah,
post it.
yeah, I am. I'm
Okay.
recording. Thank you. So let me share my screen with you all and let someone else in right quick. Praise Yahweh. All right, get right to it. Caught up the camera on me. Let's go right here. All right. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
All right, wonderful. Okay. So this last week, we had a Torah portion that's called Pakude. Okay. And Pakude is a very interesting Torah portion. It's the last Torah portion in the scroll of the book, which you would call Shemot or Exodus. Put your device on me for me, Dawid. So um, it's a matter of giving an accounting.
Okay.
It's a matter of giving an accounting. Okay. That's basically what this is. This is about giving an account of what the Most High has instructed the children of Israel to do. Okay. In the Hebrew, I put this here for myself just to remind me about what the theme of this in particular Torah portion has to do with. And what it has to do with are these Hebrew words called Ka'asher Ziwa Yahweh Eth Moshe. And what does that mean? Well, basically, what this means, everyone, is that the Most High is giving a commandment to Moshe. Okay. Ka'asher Ziwa Yahweh Et Moshe. That's how you say it when it's transliterated. I want to give you that so you can write this down because this phrase was used all through the Torah portion this week, several times. I mean, more than seven. Okay. And so it stands out that, there's things that the Most High wants us to see in the Torah portion, and it's found through the recording of the scroll and what was written, right? You know how they say that it was written. Well, it is written. So everything that's written in the Torah has a great significance. Okay. So this Ka'asher Tziwa Yahweh et Moshe is dealing with everything that's according to what the Most High has commanded Moshe. That's basically what it means. According to everything Yahweh has commanded. And you might ask yourself, well, what does that have to do with me? what significance is this in my life? I had a friend who called me earlier this week, and he was challenged because he's a Goyim, and he's not part of the house of Israel, and he just feels like this doesn't really apply to him, right? And he wanted to know, like, what's the purpose of reading the Torah, especially if you're not included as being one of the 12 tribes, or if you're not, under the banner of the teachings of the Torah, in the sense that you're not part of this family. How does this actually apply to your life? And I instructed him, I said, well, you know what? The thing about it is there's a lot that's able to be found in it. He didn't see anything. He didn't see anything in the Torah. He did not understand it. And I thought that was pretty interesting, that why couldn't he see it, but I could? How is it that I'm able to look at this and understand it? How is it that you're reading it and you're picking up things and you're understanding? How is that possible? Well, it's clear to me that the Most High has given us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Again, it's Kokma, Bina, and Da'at. And he's allowing us to have some intimacy with him, right? To get to know him. We are a people who have been misplaced, and we have been a people that have been lost, and we have been a people who have not had any recognition by the nations nor by anyone else. And so what we're doing while we're in this state is we're trying to gravitate towards people and things that would make us have some type of significance in our lives, right? But the idea behind going after the Most High, or doing what the Most High says, that's what can be found in this Torah portion. It's according to everything Yahweh has commanded. And so, as going through this and looking, I said, well, what, Most High, what is it that you want us to look at? Did you want to look at everything that we learned from the beginning of Shemot all the way to the end of Shemot, to give an accounting, to find out all the different challenges that we have had as a people? Or how is it that you want us to understand this? And so after, prayer and study, he wants us to understand, what does this really mean about Pekude, and how does it relate to our lives? So the first thing we want to know is what's the definition? How do we define it? Well, it means a lot of different things. It's not just one thing, right? So these are some abstract ideas that have to go with this word Pekude. In Hebrew, they do have abstract definitions, but the abstract is not the actual uh, I would say, concrete definition. Is just to kind of give us an idea on how we can relate it to ourselves, because we're not in the culture of, this Pekude. We're not in the culture of the Hebrew. So, from an abstract term or abstract understanding, it means to visit, it means to arrange, it means to find deficiencies. It has to do with accounting, it has to do with punishment. Okay. So, these are some of the ideas abstractly that go along with it, because you ask, well, what is accounting? We understand accounting as, business, or, looking through our homes, or, counting things, or, listing things out, or giving a record. Some of the deficiencies we can understand as something that's lacking, or something just is not right. Arrangement, when we look at our lives, we have the furniture in our house we arrange. We have our kitchen arranged the way we want to. We arrange our car a certain way. We arrange our clothes in our closet. We arrange our shoes. We arrange, things in our lives, like, our vacations, where we go. We have itineraries. I mean, all these different things, right? Punishment is something that we actually kind of stay away from. We don't like it. And no one really likes that word, punishment, because it really means accountability. That's what it means. And so this idea of Pekude is the idea of the Most High visiting, the children of Israel, uh, and pretty much being an overseer of what is going on. So he has directed Moshe to do this through the children of Israel, because the Most High wants a relationship with them. Your Torah portion is said that these are the accounts of the tabernacle, right? So the tabernacle is the main idea behind this, but it's according to what Yahweh has says, Ka Asher Tziwa Yawad, meaning whatever Yahweh has commanded et Moshe. And he says, these are the accounts, right? So this is the Pekude of the tabernacle. And the tabernacle of the testimony recorded, right, as Moshe ordered by the Leviim under the direction of Itamar, the son of Aharon, the Kohen. When I first read this, I had to really take my time because I'm thinking that the Leviim were the ones who were actually moving these things at this time, and it's not saying that. It's not saying that they were directed at this time to move this. It's not saying that Itamar, the son of Aharon, was involved in actually building these things or making these things. What it's talking about is not that he didn't give any contribution, because more than likely he probably did. But what it's talking about is the overall end game for what is going to happen. Okay. So in the family of the Levites, everyone, you have two divisions. And I want to let us know when it talks about the son of Aharon, we're talking about the priesthood. We're talking about their service towards the Most High. When we're talking about the Leviim, we're talking about every other member of like their cousins and their uncles that are in that are related to them, but they're not the ones who are in charge of the tabernacle in a sense of doing service. So one part of the family of the Leviim are the ones who are in charge of, carrying the Ark of the Covenant, what we're going to find later on. Okay. We're going to find out that they were assigned to that. They're in charge of the maintenance on the tabernacle. They're in charge of, carrying the poles and the boards and, wrapping the curtains up. And they're in charge of all that. And so Itamar is um, Aharon's one of his sons. It's his youngest son. And so when the Most High divided the responsibilities among his family, he says, you know what? I'm only choosing Aaron's family to serve me. So they're the ones who are going to go into the tabernacle, light the menorah, make sure that the bread is there. They're the ones who are accepting the offerings of the people of Israel, because the people of Israel are not allowed to go past a certain point in the tabernacle. So they're there to guard that. And so we have to be clear when they're talking about the Leviim and when they're talking about the sons of Aaron. Okay. So to make anyone have any questions before going any further? Yes, Michelle.
So it wasn't until everything was consecrated that there was a distinction made of who can and who can't touch
Absolutely.
the.
Yes,
Okay.
you got it. So what Mashal was saying is like there had to be an installation service, and everything had to be made consecrated through the holy anointing oil. And the Most High had directed Moshe to, as you saw in your Torah portion, to wash and bathe Aaron and his sons before they go into service. Now, the idea behind them moving things, they haven't been designated at that time. They had to put this. Moshe is the one who put everything together. That's the deal. Moshe, he's the one. He's the one. The Most High has directed him to do it. Okay. So I just wanted to make that clear. Okay. So again, Pakude is about inspection. This is another, abstract terms that we need to understand. Examination, organization, and then of course, again, accountability, and then acceptance, right? And so we understand that after something is fully inspected, right, and it's examined to find out if there's any type of deficiencies, we want to be able to handle that. We also want to, in this idea of Pakude, is to have some organization. So things have to be organized, right? And of course, after all that, there's an ideal of accountability. If something needed to be corrected or something was lacking, then of course we would make sure that it was done properly, right? But here we see that, the Most High has allowed Moshe to oversee all of this, and he had found that everything that was made at that time was accepted, which is in connection with the what you call the Bina, the Chokmah, and the Da'at, which is the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, because that's what they were operating underneath, right? So for us as a people, only things that are truly going to ever be accepted by the Most High are things that are going to be inspected, examined, and they're going to have to be organized because the Most High is going to hold us accountable. Okay. So what is it that you and I are supposed to do? A couple of weeks ago, I was telling someone, I think it was you, Michelle, where we were having a discussion about what is it that we're supposed to be doing, especially while we're in our exile. And I made mention of the idea of cultivation of the mind, right? So that's where we're at right now. So we don't have a lamb, we don't have a tabernacle, we don't have a priesthood, and because we don't have those things, everyone is looking for something to gravitate towards in order for them to feel like they're part of something, right? So this is the reason why the New Testament exists. This is one of the reasons why people leave what you would call the Torah or the Tanakh or which is the prophets and the writings, and they go over to the other side because on that other side they believe it's everything for them is about belief, right? So they believe that they have, a tabernacle, and they call that tabernacle their bodies. So now they moved it from the Most High's tabernacle that's covered in, gold and silver and bronze, and there's offering and sacrifices, and so they replaced that system. They replaced the priesthood, right? So therefore, there's no longer any um, uh, requirement or any desire for an inspection. There's no reason for that no more. There's no real reason to go through the idea of examination because this character, Christ himself, has done all this for you. He's the one who's going to take on your sins. And because he's done this and he's organizing your life, then of course, then you would be accepted. So everything that's represented in the book of Shemot that you and I went over for the last couple of weeks is absolutely null and void. Yes, Michelle.
No, that was a mistake. Go ahead.
So I want you all to hear what I'm saying. What is going on with our people and what's going on with the world, okay, is that they're no longer interested in going through this process of Pokude. They don't want any oversight in their lives. They're not interested in that. Okay. They're not interested whatsoever. Okay. I want to bring out what I found in the Haftarah this week to make a connection, okay, between I think I have a Shemot. Well, I actually forgot to change the slide on the bottom to give it its proper. It's actually in Ezekiel chapter number 44. It says, "They are to teach my people the difference between Kadosh and common." Talking about the priest, okay? Talking about the family. Now, I want to be clear. When we talk about the Levi'im, everyone, remember I said they're in charge of the maintenance. Okay, so that's them. Then you have Aharon and his sons, which is Ithamar, Eleazar, and of course Nadav and Avihu, which they had, been unalive because they went into the tabernacle in a way that wasn't acceptable to the Most High. So here in the book of Ezekiel, the Most High is telling us something about what the responsibilities of the Levi'im are. Okay. We often think it's just the priest who are the Kohanim, but he's actually talking about the Levi'im. The Levi'im are to teach my people the difference between Kadosh and common and enable them to distinguish between clean and unclean. They are to be judges in controversies. They are to render decisions in keeping with my rulings at all my designated festivals. They are to keep, which is guard, my laws, regulations, and they are to keep and guard my Shabbats as Kadosh. Okay. So, what can we understand from this? What is the Bina? What can she teach us about this? Well, this is what we find. We find that the reason the Most High had the Levi'im living in the land of Israel without any inheritance is the fact that he had set them apart so they can be in all different parts of the land. So the Levi'im were just not exclusive to just one territory. They were living in all of the territories of Israel. And they were I would say, the hubs where you would go there and they would teach you what the Most High wanted you to know, the difference between Kadosh and common. So the priests themselves, the Kohanim, the ones of Aaron and his sons and all their descendants after them, they were occupied with the service and the mission. Okay, go ahead, Michelle.
I'm curious. Question. The So the cities of refuge were not cities of Levine.
No, the cities of refuge were cities of refuge, but the Levi'im were in those cities as well. So they had more than just when you read, you find they say they had all these different sanctuaries, right? So there's sanctuary cities, but there's also places where they were going. Put your device on mute. Where they were going to get the help that they needed. For example, when they had to judge in controversies, and they could, the elders were going there to get their, to make their judgment. They couldn't understand it. They would have to go to the Levi'im. The Levi'im, the whole entire family is set apart for the Most High. They just, some of them operate differently. Some of them are priests and some are not. But here, the Levi'im are still able to teach, right? They're able to teach. They're not able to minister in the actual sanctuary, but they're able to teach. And they're supposed to teach the people about what's common and what's kadosh, what's set apart. So they had to have an understanding. So they're a different class of family members than all of Israel. Okay.
Okay, question.
Go ahead, please.
I don't have a hand, so I can't. But so we can say that, I mean, we can compare being dispersed like that, yeah, throughout Israel. There was like schools, maybe. I mean, something where they would teach all
Yes.
throughout. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. So
okay.
when they wanted to get an understanding of the understanding of what the understanding was this, and this is what we need to understand. They were not going around, you know, teaching them what they wanted them to understand. They were teaching them the difference. They were able to make distinguishment between kadosh and common. That's a huge thing. And this is the reason why there's a problem with us today, because we have individuals who are going around and determining what is kadosh and what's not. And they don't have a right to do that. And the reason why, and I bring this up, is because when someone says that they're a Levi'im or they're from that family, they have to be verified. They have to verify. All because I'm teaching right now doesn't mean I'm a Levi'im. The Most High said that you guys, when you're scattered, every man's gonna teach his brother. That's what you guys are doing, right? So we have I won't say I'm distorted, but I would say is that it's not on the level of this teaching. Because you and I have to be able to distinguish that. Yes, Sharon.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say I was just reading in Malachi's 2 this morning about, and I got this understanding of the difference between the sons of Aaron and the Levites. And it was saying, and what I understood was that the Levites had a responsibility to lead people towards righteousness.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize that they were strategically placed throughout the community to do that job. So they did. So I'm just confirming what you're bringing out is that, yeah, there was a role for the Levite.
Yes. So they're not just the people that were just living in cities and raising cattle for themselves and ain't having any inheritance and they're sitting on their hands all day. They're the individuals, they're the family that's been classified to teach. You can verify what I say in Deuteronomy chapter number 34, I think, 34, 33. It says that his job, this is his blessing, is to be able to teach Yahweh's people. Okay. So there's a distinguishment between them and everyone else. And they're supposed to distinguish between clean and unclean, right? So this is telling us that you and I don't have a right to determine anything. That's what I'm letting you know. I want you to understand, not to hurt our feelings or make us feel like we're useless, but it's just to put everything in its proper perspective. Okay. So the reason why too that this is important is because they said they are judges. So they're not only teachers, but their roles are as judges in any kind of type of controversy. So when you have arguments that you want to get resolved, we don't have no one to go to. We don't have anyone who's a viable or verifiable judge. We don't have anybody who's going to judge on our behalf according to the rules of the Torah, not what they decide. So there's organizations out here, not to give anyone a bad rap or bad taste. I get why we're trying to do what we're doing. Okay. But we have to understand there is a clear difference between how you and I are judging things versus the way that these Lavaim, the Kadosh, okay, teach. In order for someone to be a Levi'im, they have to be Kadosh. The Most High took that family outside of all Israel and said, you belong to me. I'm your inheritance. You belong to me. And because they belong to him, they have to be Kadosh. And if you look at the name of Levi'im, just to go verify it, the word Lewi means to be joined. So the Most High is joining himself to the children of Israel through the medium or the means of this family. When there is no Levi'im, there is no connection between you and the Most High in that very intimate way. Okay? So I'm not saying the Most High is like cut us off. What I'm saying is the closeness that we have and what connects us to the Most High is through this family. You're not connected to him by someone who claims that he's his begotten son. And he doesn't hold you accountable. He doesn't teach you anything. Come unto me, all ye that, heavy laden, or, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. This whole thing, no. So the Levi'im are important, okay? They are to render decisions in keeping with my rulings. So if these Levi'im, these people were claimed to be Levites and to be underneath that family, they are supposed to be giving the rulings and keeping and guarding Yahweh's rulings. Not even have 95%, 99% of these people, or I would give it let me just be clear, 100 of us don't even know the level that he's talking about right now. Okay. At all my designated festivals, which you and I have a designated festival this coming up, is called Pesach and Chag Matzot. Okay. Right. So the festival of Chag Matzot is coming up, and the it's not a feast of Pesach. Pesach's not a feast. Pesach is a time of remembrance, is a vigil to the Most High. Right. So these designated festivals, including the new moon, are to be guarded by the Levi'im. No one else. And because they're the ones supposed to teach us on how to keep them. Okay? This is not to discourage. This is to encourage us that they're there to do that. So, and his laws and regulations. Yah has specific laws and regulations that go along with the Moedim and the festivals. Okay? And again, like I said, Pesach is coming up. So we're going to talk about that a little bit at the end of class today on what you and I should do and how we can participate in that and how we can memorialize it. Okay. So there to guard my Shabbats is Kodosh. The Shabbats are guarded by them. The Moedim are guarded by them. That's the role that they play. Right. So we're in exile. I just want to spend a little bit of time with that just to kind of let you know what's going on. Okay. You notice I use this image here of a magnifying glass. Is to be able for us to get a real good perspective about what's going on. We need to magnify the things that we have in our lives that appear to be where we can't see them. We need to put a magnifying glass on it. When Moshe was doing an inspection, everyone, of the things that were made, like the menorah, and was pounded out, he was looking for all of the details so it can make and meet the specifications in which the Most High has outlined to him. The moment that you and I do not inspect, okay, then we're going to have a problem. There's a phrase that I have is that I learned this while I was in business, and you could take it. Call it inspect what you expect. Okay, so you inspect what you expect, right? So that means that you have to do oversight. So the question is, who and what are you and I to inspect? We are to inspect our lives. I believe, and I'll speak for myself, I spent more time trying to figure out what everyone else was doing, how they needed to change, because I figure I'm okay. That's not true. We need to take a closer look at ourselves instead of looking at others. We need to put the magnifying glass on our lives. Not that you shouldn't look and expect something from someone that you have oversight, or you're an overseer. Like, for example, the Akayota sisters, you are responsible for your homes. And you should take that with a magnifying glass. And you need to look for things that you see that it's wrong. And you need to find a way to fix them, right? That's your responsibility. Men, Achim, brothers, our responsibility is to oversee the household and make sure that the household has what it needs. We need to give our women what they need for them to run their house the way that they want it ran. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. So your wife is asking, or Isha's asking you for something. You need to be mindful. You need to communicate and ask, well, what is it that you need in order to run this the way that you want to run it, the way that you see it? She says, well, I found this and I want this to be taken care of. It is your responsibility as her Ish and her Baal, in order to do what she needs to be done. Okay. In order for her to be able to have the proper oversight that she needs over what she's responsible for. Okay. So we have this, even in our business life, of course, like I said, I mentioned, being an owner of a business or an employer or a manager or, a CEO, you have a responsibility to inspect what you expect. And when we don't take that on and we don't address those issues, pretty much it's going to be our own fault. Okay. So inspect what you expect. Here was something that we found. It says from the blue, the tequilas, and the argamon, and the tola'ath, which is a scarlet yarn, they made the garments of officiating, right? And for servicing or for serving in the kadosh place, in a set apart place. And they made kadosh garments for Haron, as Yahweh has ordered Moshe. Again, there's that asher Yahweh zivah et Moshe. It's everything according to what Yahweh has commanded Moshe. Everything, right? So when I looked at this and I was reading it, I said, okay, these are just regular garments. What is the significance of these garments? And while I was studying, I found that these garments has this idea of what you would call the I'm wondering for it's called the garments of Sarad. Okay. I want you to write this down because this is important, right? So when I looked at those garments, I was like, okay, I know that they're blue. I know that they have the purple and they have the bells under the high priest outfit. I know that he has a tunic. I know that, he has the breastplate. But these other garments that are being made, what is that really about? Officiating is about, they have it as ministering or service. And that's a religious term. Okay. That's a religious term called ministering, right? Right. So that's the term that they use in religion to say you're a minister, right? Or to be in service. So the proper understanding for us is that these in particular garments represent something. And it was amazing when I found it. The garments of Sarat literally have to do with you being a survivor. That's what it means. Sarad means to be a remnant. That's what Sarad means. It means to be a remnant. It means to be someone or something or a group of individuals that have survived a calamity or some type of judgment of the Most High. So when they're putting on these garments, everyone, the Most High is looking at those garments and he's remembering something. He's remembering the remnant. He's remembering the ones who have survived, right? So you say, well, Akika, we don't have that right now. So what is it? Well, the Most High, the reason why we don't have what we have is because we as a people have chosen not to remember the Most High. And all because you and I have chosen not to remember him doesn't mean that he doesn't remember. As you notice in your Torah portion, it talked about how they would put the koshin, which is the breastplate, the breastplate that would be on the priest's chest, had all the different stones on them, 12 of them with each one of the sons of Israel's name on them. We also had the shoham, the onyx on the shoulders that was installed onto the ephod, which is talking about the children of Israel, all their names, okay, that it was for a memorial. The Most High is remembered and has remembered Israel. And a matter of fact, the word pakude doesn't always mean just to visit, but it also means to miss. It also means to miss, like you can miss something, while you're inspecting, you miss something, but it also has the idea of the Most High missing us. He misses us. That's what he wants us to know, that he misses us. He misses the fact that there's a group of individuals who are the faithful ones who are supposed to do work for him. This has been a breach in our relationship with the Most High, right? And so he's teaching us through the scrolls about what's really going on, okay? Because what this is all about, everyone, the Mishkan, the tabernacle, the priests, the Kohanim, the high priest, the koshin, the breastplate, the stones of remembrance, the bread, the bread that was on the shlukan, the table, the incense altar, the menorah, all of these things. The altar that's outside for the burnt offerings and the peace offerings and the laver to wash themselves. These are all ways for us to make our connection with the Most High. And right now, we're not in a situation where we're really that close to Him. We're not close to Him at all right now. So, what we're doing right now is trying to understand what is the framework of the relationship with the Most High. Having a relationship with the Most High clearly means that the Most High wants to know us. Okay. He literally wants to know us. Okay. And what I found, not only the garments of Sarad, which is a beautiful title. I think that would be a cool book or something. But also too, I found the works of Avot. Write this down because this right here is amazing. You guys know I'm a crybaby, right? So when I read this, I was looking, I always try to find out what is Most High communicating through the Torah this week? What is he really trying to get us to understand? Is it about all the things being arranged? Yes. Is it about the gold and the silver and the bronze? Yes. Is it the purple, the tecalit, the blue, not the blue, tecalit, the violet, and the red? Yes. What is it about? you know? And so I found the works of Avot, okay? Avot means fathers. That's what it means, okay? But you say, I read it this week. I didn't see anything that had to with a father included. I didn't see nothing in there that says your fathers, nothing. Where the word fathers is inside of this Torah portion. It is hidden inside of the language. And if you read the scripture in its original text, you're going to find that it's there, okay? It's in English. It says on the breastplate, they made two pure gold chains, okay? So they made two of them, twisted like cords, okay? So they're twisted like cords. So when you read that in English, you're thinking, hey, they're just giving you the specifics on these two gold chains that are twisted like cords. Okay, what does that mean, right? So in Hebrew, it's like wa'asu, meaning and they made. Okay. By the way, dealing with this first word, wa'asu, meaning from right to left, and I'll underline it here. Let me just underline it for you right quick so you can see what I'm talking about. This word right here means made. Okay. Our Torah portion was in chapter number 38, 39, and 40. In the first two chapters, 38 and 39, the word asa, meaning to work or to do, is used over 30 times. 30 times to do something. Because this is what they were doing. They were just doing a lot of work. Okay. So when it's talking about when they're doing this, he says they're going to make this, the shasharot, which is the chains. And then I looked and it says, Gavulot Ma'aseh Avot. I was like, okay, well, I know that I don't see this word Gavulot in here, but this word Gavulot in here is talking about a boundary. That's what a Gavul is. It's a boundary. It's a marker to let you know what point not to go past. Okay. So we don't see that in English. So you don't see anywhere it says border. You don't see anywhere where it says territory. You don't see any of that. Okay. But here what we do see are what they would call works. Okay, the works of that's called ma'aseh. That's again the word asa right here. This one right here. Those two letters, the ayin and the sheen. Ayin and the seen. Okay. So, and here's the fathers right here, avot. Okay. So the avot is the fathers. So when I was looking at this, I read it and understand it as being the territories from the works of my fathers were precious and pure. Because Zahav and Tahor means gold that was purified. The purification is the idea of the Tahor. Okay. The gold is what the right here called the Zahav. Zahav is the gold. Okay. The sharsharot right here are the chains. So you don't see anywhere where father and the work of fathers is mentioned. You don't even see it. And you don't see gavulot. So the gavulot is the borders. So what the Most High revealed is the fact that there's the works of the fathers. When these chains, these gold chains that are on the breastplate, on the koshin in the koshin right here is the judgment, right? The gold chains. When we're talking about the gold chains, these chains were braided. They were braided. They weren't just gold chains. They were like braided, like braided gold. Okay. And they were used to connect the breastplate to the ephod. Okay. So what the Most High is letting us know is that when I'm remembering the children of Israel, right? And you think I'm just remembering the sons. I'm remembering Reuven, Lewi, Yehuda, yeah, wait, no, I don't mean I forget. Reuven, Shimon, Lewi, right? And Yehuda, the first four. And then I have Dan, Naphtali, I shared God. I have Yissachar, Zevulun, and we have Yosef and Benjamin, and of course those who were added, which is Ephraim and Manasseh. The Most High is only remembering the sons of Israel because of the Ma'aseh Avot, the works of the fathers of Israel. That's the reason why the Most High is remembering us. He's remembering us because of what our fathers have done. If you just take an account, now here, listen, our Torah portion is about accountability, but it's also about taking an account. Our Torah portion is about arrangement and organization, and it's talking about visitation, it's talking about punishment, it's talking about, order, right? So when you think of the lives of our fathers, what type of lives did our fathers have that are memorable? What is it about our fathers that causes the Most High to remember them? Someone want to give me some ideas? Tell me, let's just deal with Abraham right quick. Let's just kind of walk through it. What are some of the things that Abraham did that Most High remembered him for? Go ahead.
He got rid of his idol, like God asked him to.
Oh, thank you so much. One there, he got rid of his idols. Go ahead, Sharon.
I was just thinking that I remember he told the children of Israel to remember the rock from which you were hewn and the pit from which you were dug, Abraham and Sarah, because he said Abraham would teach his children his ways of judgment and justice or something.
Yes, yeah.
Yep, that's right. That's
That's
what I
right.
remember.
Go ahead, Dawid. Go ahead.
No, she said exactly what I was thinking about. They were seekers. Abraham and Sarah were seekers of righteousness. That's what they would. That's where they came from.
Oh, praise to Yahweh. And let's be clear. When we talk about the works of fathers, the works of Avot, remember the mothers are connected to the fathers. This is the reason why you don't hear, well, mothers they're out. No, 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 no. You don't always hear about the wives. Like when the Most High gave the children of Israel the 10 words and he was speaking to them, he's talking to both the husband and the wife. Even though he talks about the sons of Israel, they're included. So I'm glad that you guys brought that out. Don't forget the rock that you were hewn from, or the pit, or the quarry that you were dug from, which is Sarah. I mean, he had to go real, real deep and to find you. So you're like a treasure, okay? So Abraham did that. He taught his children. He was righteous. He lived before the Most High in a way that was complete. He was Tamim. The Most High said, walk before me, be Tamim, and I will be your great reward. He left Lekai. He left and did what the Most High said, like Mashal. He left his idolatrous family. He left his family. He did what the Most High asked him to do. So that's something that causes the Most High to remember him. He says the Most High is mistranslated where it says Abraham was the Most High's friend. That's not true. That's a misrepresentation, mistranslation. He's not his friend. It literally says the Most High loves him, loving him. He didn't call him a kaber. He said, I'm loving him. Okay. So the Most High loves, and he attached himself to our fathers because of the lives that they lived. The lives that they had were lives of accountability. The lives that they had were very organized. The families that they had were organized living. And this is what the Most High, he loved them. Okay. Yitzchak, you don't hear too much about him, but when you look in chapter number 26, You see him doing great things. He's very productive. He has great oversight over everything. I mean, he was so wealthy that the king, Abimelech, came and said, "You got to move. You're too much. You increase too much." He's increasing over 100-fold. You understand? And so when you have something like 100-fold, and you have all this wealth, and you have all these servants, you have all these wells, you have all this cattle, you will have to live an organized life. Okay. So what is the Most High really letting us know? He's letting us know that your fathers had great wealth. Abraham was wealthy. Yitzchak was wealthy. Yaakov was wealthy. All right. And the Most High says, I'm going to increase your wealth when I bring you into the land. But when you get to the land, I don't want you to forget me. And as a result of us forgetting him, he says, now I'm going to take away your wealth. If you read clearly in the curses in Deuteronomy 28, he says, because of the abundance of all the great things you had, you were not thankful. You didn't remember me. So I'm going to take that away from you. Okay. So when we're remembering our fathers, I don't just want you to remember the way that they, just the way they lived. I want you to understand their status. I want you to understand their relationship. I want you to understand what kind of relationship, what type of relationship. I want you to understand what they were doing in order to ensure that they were going to bring about what I wanted them to do. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. What did they want to do? What was Sarah willing to do for Abraham? What was she willing to do? She was willing to give her slave girl so he can, in order to build this promise, to fulfill the promise. She did that. What else was she willing to do? She was willing to go in to be captured. She had to suffer many things. What was our father willing to do? They were willing to walk around and just trust Yah in their walking, in their journeys. That's what they were willing to do. When we talk about Yaakov, he's the one who had challenges. And of course, he was hit with them from his own family, right? Whether it was his brother, whether he was not loved 100% by his father, but his mother was looking out for him. Maybe his uncle, took advantage of him, but the Most High saw all that. But he was willing. He had to be accountable. He was a shepherd. He had a whole bunch of sheep and goats. He had to be organized in his life. He had 4 wives. What was his wives willing to do? What was Leah willing to do? What was Raquel willing to do in order to fulfill the promise? Oh, praise be to Yahweh. What were they willing to do? Huh? Everybody had to play their part. Everyone had to do their role. That's what he's telling us. So when those twisted cords were made, they weren't just cords and twisted braided gold just for the sake of saying, I got braided gold on and it's connected to the breastplate. No, he's talking about our fathers. Praise be to Yahweh. Okay. Yahweh will scatter you. Remember, we're talking about relationship now because this is about us being accountable. Yahweh will scatter you among all the peoples from one end of the earth to the other. Again, I want you to understand something. Okay. The secret to the Torah is this: you are an eternal people. This is something that you've never been told. And you and I have never been told this. And you're not supposed to figure it out. What you're supposed to do is just have your, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years, and then you go in and that's it. No, it doesn't work like that. This world is too beautiful, is too large, is too vast, is too huge, is too, it's such a treasure. It's such a wonder. We live in a place where there's nothing but wonders all around us. And the Most High is not just going to give you 50 to 60 years or whatever, 15 years or 10 years, whatever age you are, and he just all of a sudden you take that and that's it. No. The Most High has clearly shown us that you guys are an eternal people. So when he's saying Yahweh will scatter you, okay, in Deuteronomy chapter number 28, that means that you've been scattered to the 4 corners of the earth. So the people that are talking about being scattered is you. Among all the peoples. There's other people from one end of the earth to the other, and they're you. Okay? You are going to serve other gods. Yeah, in the nations. And have you been here serving other gods? Yes, you have been serving other gods made of wood and stone, which neither you nor your ancestors have known. That word ancestors is your ovateka, your avot, your fathers have known. Meaning that your fathers, they were intimate with me. They had a relationship with me. They know me. They know my ways. They know what I asked them to do. And they were willing to do it. That's the reason why I make them wealthy. That's the reason why I protect them. That's the reason why the Most High allowed our father to go to war, and he by himself defeat all these kings by himself with 318 servants. You better hear what he's saying. That's the reason why he said, out of you coming kings and queens and princesses. And princes are going to come from you. Nobility's coming from you. Okay, so you are these people that have been scattered, and when you got here, you and I are serving their gods, which brings us to understand the idea between the difference between what you would say a relationship versus religion. Okay, so what the Most High wants us to do is he wants us to take inventory. I asked those little questions about, what do you remember about your fathers? What do you remember about Abraham? What do you remember about Yitzchak? What do you remember about Yaakov? What do you remember about Leah? What do you remember about Sarah? What do you remember about Rivka? What do you remember about Rachel? What do you remember? You see? So you have to take inventory. You have to take inventory in your life. Okay? And here's the thing. In the scripture, it says Moshe he saw all the work. And there it was. They had done it exactly as Yahweh, right, has ordered. All right. I had ordered. They done it as Moshe, and Moshe blessed them. We have to take inventory in our lives. It has to be exactly the way that Yah wants it. Otherwise, it will not be accepted. Now, I don't have a scripture here, but there's a scripture in the book of Chronicles that talks about how the children of Israel kept a Pesach and they weren't clean. And then the king had asked the Most High for forgiveness for them because they didn't do it in a manner that he had prescribed, and the Most High forgave them for it. Okay, so forgiveness for them going out of line was required. It wasn't that it was accepted, they had to be forgiven. Okay, so what am I saying? I'm saying that the Most High looks at the heart and he looks at the intent, right? But even though you and I might have the right intent and we might have the right intention, it doesn't make up to say, well, I'm going to change my laws. That doesn't mean now you could do it the way that you want to do it, and then I'm going to accept it. No, it's based on merit. It's based on you really wholeheartedly wanting to do it, and you don't have the ability to do so. I think that's what the Most High is looking for from us. Okay. So we talked about inventory. Now we're going to talk about how we should prioritize different things in our lives. What's important about prioritizing is that there's a certain time in which one is supposed to take inventory, and there's a time in which one is supposed to prioritize. Okay, making something more important than anything else. Okay, and the priority is this. We found it in our Torah portion this week. Yahweh said to Moshe, on the first day of the first month, you are to set up the tabernacle. I'm laughing because Yahweh is so kind to us. The tent of meeting, put in the ark, put in it the ark for the testimony, and conceal the ark with the curtain. Okay, so we read that. We're thinking, well, I'm not there. He just took the ark of the covenant, he put it in. Right? Great, he did. There's a order, there's a priority was given to certain elements of the tabernacle over everything else. But what I want you to see is not only what went into the tabernacle first, but I want you to look at when did it happen? It happened on the first day of the first month. It happened on the first day of the first month. Somebody tell me, what's the first day of the first month in Hebrew?
Aviv.
Aviv. And Aviv, the word Aviv has to do, and I'll write it up here. I don't have my pen because I left it at home. So here it is. I'll put it in Hebrew for you with my finger. So forgive me if the writing doesn't look good. Okay. So it's an aleph, it's a bet, and it's a yod. And then, of course, here's another bet. Okay. I'm actually writing better without that pen. The first part of Aviv, okay, which, of course, let me put it in and spell it in English. So those of you who are listening and you're like, well, what did they just said something, but I don't know what they said. It's called Abiv, okay? Abiv, okay? Abiv. The B's are pronounced as a V sound. So you might see it as A, which is A, and then V, and then another I, and then V, Aviv, okay? So when we call our father, we said he's an Av, right? Not Ab, but Av, okay? But in Hebrew, you just pronounce it like Av, okay? So here's an Av. So an Av is the first part of your word Aviv. So Av is a father, okay? That's what it is. And what this talks about in agriculturally is the first part of the year. It's talking about springtime, okay? It's spring. It's the first shoot, the strength that comes up out of the ground. That's the strength of it that comes out of the ground. That's Aviv. So it's springtime, okay? So the Most High said, you know what? I'm going to set up this Mishkan, my dwelling place, and I'm going to set it up on the first day of the first month. Okay. Somebody tell me, when is Pesach?
In
The
2 weeks.
14th?
According to Hebrew calendar, what day does it's on the first month, but what day?
14th?
Thank you. So it's 2 sevens later. Okay. So Yah gives us specific days to let us know what he's talking about. Okay. So here it says the first day of the first month. So Yah has decided when I'm going to do the Mishkan and set up my house with the children of Israel, my dwelling place with Israel is going to be at what time of the year?
Spring.
Thank you. So Yahweh says, I don't change. He doesn't change. Okay. So you should be looking forward to the idea whenever he decides that when you and I are going to be with him and he's going to set up a Mishkan, when he sets that Mishkan up, who needs to be in service to him?
The
The Leviim and Aaron's sons. Okay. They need to be in service to the Most High. Okay. I want you to remember that. Okay. So when someone comes along and says that you no longer lead a temple because you're the temple, and that means that you would, get rid of the priesthood, and that means that you would get rid of the garments of Sarad. You understand? There won't be any more remnant or survivors. Okay. So that's what that's supposed to remind you of. Because in every situation, in every part of time, there's always a group of people who are faithful to Yahweh, the ones who are always doing the work. So you and I are the faithful. You're the survivor. That's what you need to know today, is that you are the survivor. You are the one who has been faithful to the Most High. You're the one that the Most High is preserving, right? And the reason why he's going to preserve you and I from the destruction that's coming is because there is work that you and I need to do. Okay. So the first day of the first month, you are to set up the tabernacle, which is the Mishkan, and the tent of a meeting. Okay. And put it in the ark, and put in it the ark for the testimony, meaning the 10 words. Okay. So the priority that went into the tabernacle first is going to be the ark of the testimony. This is why Akika is always telling you to memorize. I don't care if you learn it in English, memorize the 10 words of Yah. The 10 words that were spoken out at Har Sinai is what you need to prioritize. This is what the first thing you need to put, because this is the priority. We need to prioritize the first day of the first month. And by the way, what is the first day of the first month? What is that? Rivka, you
That's
there?
the Exodus.
Yeah, but what is the first day of every first month? What is the first day of every month?
The new moon?
The new moon. It's Rosh Chodesh. See? So that's a priority. See, so everything with Yah has a priority, right? Something has to be first. So the Ark of the Covenant was the first thing that they put into the Mishkan, into Yah's dwelling place. You understand? So there, you and I should be looking for the 10 words. You need to remember, you need to memorialize, you and I, Yahweh's words. You need to memorialize those, okay? That has to be the priority. Because if it's not a priority for you, then you're not saying it is as important as it is supposed to be. Okay. The second thing that was brought into the tabernacle was the table, the shlukan. Right? And he says arrange it, and it arranges display. Bring in the table, and on that table, what was there on the table? What was on the table?
Shewbread,
There was the showbread. What did the showbread represent?
the tribes.
It represented the 12 tribes of Israel. And it represents provision, that the Most High is telling us that as long as I'm in your presence, as long as I'm with you, you will always have bread. You will always have sustenance for the 12 tribes of Israel. And by the way, no one was allowed to consume that bread except for those who were kadosh. Okay? But I want you to look at the top left-hand corner of your screen. There has a direction right there, which was the north. Okay? So in each part of the tabernacle, there is a compass. There is a north, there is an east, and there is a south. Okay? Those are the three directions. Okay? So when they were to put this table in there, it was on the north side. So if you're facing east, okay, it would be on your left-hand side if you're facing east. Okay? Bring in the menorah and light his lamps. This is what Moshe was commanded to do. So the Ark of the Covenant is first. That has priority over the table. The table comes in after the ark. Okay? Then the menorah comes in after the table. Okay? Which has the 7 lamps and is made out of pure gold, so forth and so on. That's on the south side. That's on the south side when you look towards the east. It's on the south side. Okay? And that would be at your right-hand side when you're facing, or you're facing away, excuse me, from the east. It's on your right-hand side. Okay? Then he said, I'm just giving you the priority because the Most High prioritized these things. The east. So now he says, set the gold altar for incense in front of the Ark of the Testimony and set up the screen at the entrance of the tabernacle. So the golden altar with incense was after the menorah. Incense, an altar of incense, represents prayer. So when the priests were going in there and he was lighting an incense, and he had to light it every day, all the time. Same with the menorah. They were going in there and having continuation of prayer. So he just wasn't there just lighting incense. He was in there praying. See? So everything that was happening was according to the priority. Okay? So what does this tell us about the Most High? Is telling us that the Most High has set up things in a certain manner that is going to have to follow that way, and it should be the same for us. Okay? Now, I mentioned earlier about relationship, and I told you the reason why we're where we are right now is because we didn't want a relationship. What we wanted is to have a religion. And that's what idolatry is. Idolatry is religion. When you look it up in the Latin, because it's like, well, where does this word come from? Right? It's Latin. It's called religare. Okay? Religare. That's in Latin. I didn't write it up here because I don't want you to learn Latin, but it's called religare. So religare has to do with religion. And you would be shocked to know that religion means to bind and it means to tie. It doesn't mean freedom. It means to tie you up. It means to lock you down. It means to imprison you. That's what it means. Go look it up. That's what religion is. So what the Most High's intent was is I want to have a relationship with you. But because of our idolatrous hearts, we would rather be tied and we would rather be bound to idolatry. We would rather be oppressed. This is the reason why our people have loved oppressing ourselves and others, including the stranger and the foreigner that was living among Israel. They love this. See, because idolatry allows you to bind people. It allows you to oppress people. It allows you to exploit people. It allows you to take advantage of people. Now, when you think about where we've been as a people, and we're scattered to the four corners of the earth, all these religions, all these idolatrous practices, all these disgusting practices are in play. It allows you to knock someone's teeth out, all of them, and don't let them free. It allows you to bind them with shackles of iron around their necks and their mouths, and then do horrible things to them. It allows you to violate them in manners that are disgusting. It allows you to take advantage of them and literally get away with it and justify it and say, well, all of my sins are forgiven and please forgive me. And if you notice, there will be no accountability because someone else has taken the responsibility and accountability for what you have done. And this is the reason why the Most High has sent Israel out of the land. This is the reason why you and I are scattered, because you and I want to be religious. We don't want a relationship. Yahweh will scatter you among the peoples from one end of the earth to the other. Again, why? And there you're going to serve the other gods. Your ancestors don't know these gods, neither do you. So when you got here, you didn't know these gods. They gave them to you. See? So neither you nor your ancestors, you don't know these gods. So the question would be, because I think a lot of people still have a little question, have some questions about, Akika, you keep telling me that I was there. You keep saying that we were there. I'm telling you, the Most High is telling you and I, you don't know anybody else but me. Well, how do you know Yah? You had an encounter with Yah. You just don't remember it. He took it away from us. He closed our eyes. He's not allowed you to see that you have had a relationship with me. He hasn't opened our eyes to clearly see that you were there. Because if he was to open our eyes right now, it would really probably just shatter you. You wouldn't be right. He has to bring you back to your environment, has to bring you back out to the wilderness, has to bring you out there to cleanse you. And then he says, when I bring you into the land, and then I'm going to open you up and I'm going to show you that you have gone against me, that you have done this. And I haven't done this, Israel, because of all your disgusting practices. I'm only doing it because of my name. So when he says that you nor your ancestors have known, well, when you were scattered, you saying that you knew Yah? Yes. You just didn't realize it. But when it comes to your senses, okay? Well, part of our curse is that when you're among these nations, when you're serving these gods, you're not going to find any rest, any repose, okay? You're not. You're not. Your life is going to be very, very difficult, okay? And there will be no rest for the sole of your foot. You're not, you are so busy. Now hear me. Put it in agricultural terms, okay? So we're like sheep. What he's talking about is where there's no rest for the soles of your feet. You think that you have rest for the soles of your feet because you put your feet up on the couch and you think that, oh, I'm resting. So this is not true. What he's talking about is the way that you and I are moving in this world. The way that we move is we're constantly busy with life and we're constantly busy with work. We're constantly busy with the things in which the nations that we live among are demanding from us. They demand these things from us. They demand that we be at a certain place at a certain time. And if you're not there, They're going to cut you off. They're going to cut your income off, and then your livelihood is gone. So when the Most High is saying this, everyone, he's literally telling us that when you were in your land, I gave you rest. There's work to be done. But there was seasons where I would give you like the Yuval. You would work 6 years and rest in the seventh year. You would work 6 days and rest on the seventh day. You would work 49 years and then don't work on the 50th year. That's a bunch of time to have off and to relax. You would relax during the winter time because you would have enough food to get you through. Your vegetables would last for years. You understand? So there's something. So the vegetables we have only last like maybe a couple of days. They go rotten if you just be honest. So there's no life in them. That's why they're dying so fast because of what's in the soil, what's in the air, what's in the water. So when he's talking about this, he's not just literally talking about your foot. It's metaphoric language. He's literally letting us know that you're so busy that you can't even take time to have a breath, and you can't. There's no rest for you. It says there, Yahweh will rather give you there an anguish of heart. That means that you're going to have severe pain, mental anguish. Okay. You're going to be distressed. You're not going to know how I'm going to make it. If we do this, this is going to happen. We're all saying if the market turns, if you're involved in stocks and bonds, or you're involved in crypto or whatever it may be, you know, if that don't go right, you're done. You know it. Doesn't matter how much money you got saved, you're still finished. They can crash the dollar tomorrow, and you and I will have nothing. You do not have a land, you do not have a field, you don't have a tree that's going to bear any fruit for you. You don't have a river for you to go wash your face in. You don't have any of the things that the Most High gave to our fathers. He promised them. The dimness of one's eyes is talking about physically how you're going to deteriorate because of the environment that you're living in. This is not spiritual, people. This is physical that affects your soul. You see? So there's the glaucoma, you can't see. He's not just talking about being spiritually blind. You're already there. You already know that. You're going to serve another gods. You have to be blind to do that because they don't see, so you don't see either. So if you worship gods that don't see, smell, touch, hear, or nothing, then you won't. You're going to become like them according to Psalms 115. Then he says the apathy of soul. I changed the word. It said spirit, but that's not the word in Hebrew. It says your soul. So it means that you're not going to have, your soul is not going to be enthusiastic. You really have nothing to be enthusiastic about because all you're doing is spending your time moving and just never getting any true rest. This is the Shabbat that the Most High has given us, and we can take pleasure in that, but this is not the real Shabbat. This is just something we're doing right now to show the Most High that we have every intention to do what he says. This is a little bit of what it really means. It's not actually what it really, really means. See, so there's really a lot of problems with us. And this is the reason why we need to take inventory. And this is the reason why we need to have some accountability because the Most High misses us. He misses us and we should miss him. I found in the Torah portion this week this word called makberet. It was in an English word that didn't even tell us what it was. A makberet, everyone, is identified here. It says is usually the word seam. That's what it means. So it says also they made 2 gold rings and attached them low and in the front part of the vest shoulder pieces near the seam above the vest is decorated belt, meaning talking about this koshin again. But it talks about the seam. So the makbereth in Hebrew doesn't mean seam, okay, like a seam of a garment. It doesn't mean that. But it does have an abstract understanding. And the abstract of it is that when we're talking about a seam, it's something that's closely stitched together, it's bringing something together. And the word that they use there is makberet. And makberet in Hebrew means a scrolls. That's what it means. It means the scrolls. Right? So I'm like, okay, well, are you trying to have us focus on the seam of this garment? Because if it's the seam of the garment, what significance would that mean to us? It doesn't mean the seams. It means the makbereth. It means the scrolls. All the scrolls are used primarily to convey Yahweh's messages. Okay. So a lot of us sometimes like, well, how do we know that these are good? How do we know this, right? Well, back in our culture, the scrolls were highly, honored and revered because the individual who had to write this, they had to be very skillful. This wasn't, and because they were using papyrus paper, they were using, skins. You really couldn't just write something and make a mistake. So it's just not like paper that you just ball up. Oh, I made a mistake, throw it in the trash. No, these were made of papyrus and parchment, which were very, very valuable and expensive. So the individuals who were doing this had to be very, very skillful. Okay. So it was used basically to convey the idea of preserving Yahweh's writings. Okay. So the idea behind the Makbareth, the idea behind this ephod or this mishkan, or excuse me, these breastplate and all these different elements all have to point to like the works of the Father, or the sarad of, the sarad of, or the garments of sarad, meaning the survivors. And now we're talking about the scrolls, right? So when we put all that together and we start looking at it for what it really says, you're going to find out that he's really concerned about what did our fathers do and how they did it. He's looking at the survivors of those individuals. He's looking at how do they survive? How are you and I going to have the garments or understand the garments of Sarad? You would understand the garments of Sarad when you understand the works of the fathers. You will only understand the works of your fathers because of the scrolls, the Makbaret, the scrolls, the compositions, the writings, because this was the primary way of conveying Yahweh's words. This was the preservation of his words. This is the reason why Moshe wrote down everything he wrote down. So that's why this is very important. The scrolls of Yahweh are they're of the utmost importance. Okay. And if you and I don't understand the scrolls, and this is well, you see what happens when you don't understand the scrolls. You're going to get mistranslations, you're going to get misunderstandings, you're going to get misapplications, okay? And you're going to get misdirected because you don't understand the scrolls. If you don't understand the grammar of how something was written, then you really don't understand what the Most High, the message that he's conveying. That's why it's important to study the scrolls, not the New Testament, the scrolls of the Most High. What was written in one of the scrolls that we found in the book of Kings was this. And by the way, this was a prayer that was written down about Shlomo. So when he was up there praying, he was standing there and he was kneeling before the Most High after the dedication of the temple. He was dedicating the temple the Mishkan, the temple that he built. Now he finishes off with a prayer and he says this, and I want you to listen to what was written in the scroll, because as he was talking, there was someone there writing it down. He had a scribe that was writing his prayer down. That was written. The Most High had authorized this because it was written for you and I. He says, if they sin against you, for there is no one who doesn't sin. Right there should tell you that you shouldn't be listening to the New Testament. It should tell you when they come, well, we're all sinners. Yeah, well, we already knew that. You're not saying anything new to us, okay? So if they sin against you, for there's no one who doesn't sin, and you are angry with them and hand them over to the enemy so that they carry them off captive to a land of their enemy, whether far away or nearby, then, see, they're in the lands of their enemies, you and I, then he's praying for us. Then look, if they come to their senses in the land where they have been carried away captive, turn back, that's that shuv, that's their repent, and make their plea to you in the land of those who've carried them off captive, saying, we have sinned, we acted wrongly, we behaved wickedly. What you and I need to understand from this part of the scrolls, or the Makberet, is the fact that the Most High is telling us that if you are in the land of your enemies and you come to your senses, well, how did you come to your senses? How would one come to their senses while they're in the lands of their enemies? Oh, that's right. They start reading and they start discovering, they start examining, they start taking accountability. Oh, they start pakude. Oh, they start pakude. They know something's missing, they just can't put their finger on it. So what they do is they end up going into the scrolls, not the New Testament. They go into the scrolls and they go back and they look at what their ancestors, oh, their avoteka, their fathers. They discover that they're the people that have been sent into exile because of this, that, and that, and the other. They understand that they are captives. So if they're a captive and they're coming to their senses, that means that they're a survivor. Oh, so that means that the understanding of Sarad, the garments of Sarad, that the Most High was remembering the survivors. The survivors are going to be the ones who are going to read out of the Makbaret, the scrolls of Shemot. And they're going to read and find out what the Pakude is, the accounting and the oversight of what the Most High said. So they can share what? Ziwa Yawa et Moshe. So they can do according to all that Moshe said. Oh, that's what we're talking about. Only a survivor is going to be the one who's going to come to their senses. Because they're like, wait a minute. Something is going on. Then they take responsibility, meaning they make their plea. They're holding themselves accountable. They've taken inventory in their lives. They see that nothing is really working out for them. They see that there is no repose for them. They see that they have no rest. They see that the people around them, the practices of these religions, and they see the wood and the stone. They see it. And they start asking questions. And then they finally acknowledge that we've sinned. We've acted wrongly. We've done drasha. We have rebelled against the Most High. We have been on the wrong path. We have listened to the wrong people. We haven't horeni to Yahweh Derekeka. We haven't been taught and guided and taught Yahweh's ways. But the only way you can find out what Yahweh's ways are if you look into the Makbaret, if you look into the scrolls. His prayer says that for you, Yahweh, made a distinction between them and all the peoples of the earth by making them your inheritance. As you said through Moshe, your servant, when you brought our ancestors out of Egypt, Supreme Master Yahweh. So the distinction, again, is clear that the Most High is letting us know that I have to set you apart from all other peoples in order for everybody else to know that you're my people. And that process has begun. That process has begun and is demonstrated by the fact that you're reading the Makbaret. You're reading the scrolls. That process has begun because in the Makbaret, in the scrolls, you find out what the dietary restrictions are. In the Makbaret, you find, oh, what is it that is expected of me? Oh, in the Makbaret, you found the Adut, which is the testimonies of Yahweh, the 10 words. Anoki Yahweh Eloheka. You found out that Yahweh is your Elohim. You found out that he's a jealous El. You found out that you should not worship any other Elohim before him. You found out that you should never mention their names. You found out, oh, praise be to Yahweh, that you and I should not covet our neighbor's wife, his house, or anything that belongs to our neighbor. You found out. Lo tirsak, no murder. Lo tignov, no stealing. Lo ta'ane, no speaking falsehood with your neighbor. You found out. You're not even the tak multipetaka of your neighbor's house. You found out that you and I are supposed to set apart the Shabbat. We remembered it was according to Efta HaShabbat the Laquata show. You and I have set the Shabbat apart. So achieving this set apartness is a process. And it begins with the idea of us being unified in our minds asking the Most High to unify us in the way that we think, so we can be in alignment with him, because Rasha means you're on a different path. Evil means you just left the path of Yahweh. Anybody that's not on Yahweh's path is considered evil. Okay. Now I want to tell you about one of my favorite artists. Just joking. He is one of my faves though, Prince. In your Haftarah this week, you found out about an individual called a Prince. Okay. He's a Nagid. Didn't call him a Melech. He didn't call him a king. He called him a prince. Okay. In context, let's put some context on it. The Most High is dealing with Israel in the future, with a prince. Okay. And this prince, his name is going to be Dawid. Okay. One of his descendants, and his name is going to be Dawid. This prince here is someone who is going to be a representative for the children of Israel and advocate for them on behalf, uh, to Yahweh on behalf of the people. Okay. So it's going to tell us that the prince has an obligation, and what his obligations are going to do or going to be is to present the burnt offerings, the grain offerings, and the drink offerings at the feast and on Rosh Chodesh and on Shabbat. Okay. And at all designated times of the house of Israel. He is to prepare the sin offerings, grain offerings, burnt offerings, peace offerings, and make atonement for the house of Israel. A lot of people who read the Makbareth or the scrolls are telling you that this is never going to happen. They tell us that this was something that the Most High wanted to do for the children of Israel. And because they went continued back into exile again and they reverted back, that he decided, I'm not going to do it. And therefore, because they said it's over, it's not going to happen, that means that you can forget about the Mishkan, you can forget about the offerings, you can forget about this prince, you can forget about Rosh Chodesh, and you can forget about Shabbats, and you can forget about the festivals. These people are foolish. They're kasalim. They're foolish. They've covered their understanding. They do not know what they're talking about. Every festival and every Rosh Chodesh and every Shabbat is all connected to the children of Israel. The Most High says, if you could get rid of the sun, the moon, and the stars in the time in which they're supposed to come out, then I will forget about the children of Israel. So what is Yah telling us? Yah, every first of the month, oh, Yah is thinking about you. Yah misses you. Every Shabbat, Yah misses you. He wants to be with us. Yes.
Hi, Chica. Just for a quick.
I can barely hear you, Koti. Go ahead. Hello?
Can you hear me now?
I hear you now. Yes.
Right. Just very quickly, I just wanted clarity with regards to this obligation by the prince, because my understanding is that the Levites are the ones responsible for the sacrifices and things like that, or am I misunderstanding what this passage is saying?
Yes, I'm going to bring that out. Actually, that's what we're going to be talking about. I want to make a clear distinction for you so you would understand what this really means, right? Because sometimes we look at this and we think that, okay, well, the prince now is taking the role of the high priest, and that's not true. He hasn't taken the role of the high priest, okay? He has not taken the role of a priest, okay? What it's talking about is when the children of Israel, and of course it will be the leaders and of the tribes, they're all going to bring to him their grain offerings. Okay, so what he is, he's an administrator. That's all he is. He's an administrator on behalf of the people. Okay, so what, instead of the children of Israel coming and bringing everything to the Most High themselves, like, when we would go up, he said, okay, well, all you guys every year or at these different times, you would have to pack up your wagon, especially the males, and you'd have to bring up everything and bring an offering to the Most High. Then when you got there, you would give it to the Leviim, and then the Leviim would bring it to the priest, and the priest would make an offering. Okay. Now what it's saying is that in this time to come, the Most High has designated a prince of the house of David to be able to, when it talks about presenting, it's not talking about offering. He's just gathering these things. He's saying, okay, well, what do we have? He's going to be the one who's going to do, he's an overseer now over what the children of Israel are bringing to the Most High. He's not the one who is actually going through and examining, that's the priest's job. He's not the one who's putting it on the altar. That's the priest's job. He's not doing that. Okay. What he's doing is just being an overseer, because that's what Pekude is. He's an overseer. So he gives oversight on behalf of the children of Israel. He's the guy that's going to do this as their prince, like a king would, go to the Most High. So he says all the grain offerings, the drink offerings at the feast on Rosh Kodesh and on Shabbat. Okay. And this doesn't mean that the priests are out of their service. It just means that he's going to be the one who is going to be the overseer. He's going to give oversight to these things. And it says, at the designated times of the house of Israel, he's to prepare the sin offerings, grain offerings, burnt offerings, peace offerings to make atonement for the house of Israel. In English, you may think that he's the one who's preparing it, but he's not. All he's doing is presenting them. Okay, so he's not doing this role of going through and examining. That's the priest's job. Because remember, we read earlier where in the beginning of our teaching, we talked about what the priests, their responsibilities are in Ezekiel chapter number 44. They're the ones who are supposed to teach the people, judge the people, and all this, but they're also too, they're Kohanim, the priest, not just the Levim or the teachers, the judges, and controversies, but the priests are the ones who are going to take this out of this prince's hand, and they're going to make an offering on behalf of the people. The Supreme Master Yahweh says this: on the first day of the first month, you are to take a young bull without defect and purify the sanctuary. So this is in Ezekiel chapter number 45 for future. So what did we see that's similar? Someone tell me. What is the same that we saw in our Torah portion in here? What matches?
The first day of the first month.
Thank you. Yes, so the Most High again is showing you the priority. So when the Most High allows us to be connected to him again, it's going to be, and when the Mishkan, doesn't mean that he's going to come and get us on the first day of the first month. This means when the temple is going to be erected and there's going to be service and the relationship with the Most High is going to be restored. Remember, in our Torah portions we've been reading over the last couple of weeks, the children of Israel had failed and did idolatry, and they worship another god. The Most High was angry with them, and he was deciding what he was going to do with them. And then after Moshe established another covenant with the Most High says, okay, now go down there and build this tabernacle. So then he's saying, now I'm going to make my dwelling place with you. So the relationship was restored because of Moshe. That's why. And it was based on the promises that the Most High made to our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because Moshe remembered and brought that to Yah's attention. He challenged him about the covenant he made with our fathers. So in this instance here, what we see is the Most High is saying, just like before I set up my tabernacle on the first day of the first month, letting you know I don't change. I'm going to do it again on the first day of the first month. And also, too, I'm bringing a young bull without defect and purify the sanctuary. Because the sanctuary is going to have some pollution on it from the people, because we're human beings in Most High's Kadosh. It says, on that day, what day? The first day of the first month, the prince will provide for himself and all the people of the land a young bull as a sin offering. In our understanding, what we've read so far in our Torah portions is that Aaron is the one who's supposed to, in the Day of Atonement, is supposed to bring an offering on behalf of himself and all of his household. And then Israel's supposed to provide a bull. But here we don't see that. What we see is that the prince is going to provide for himself and all the people of the land. So he's the overseer of all the people of the land. And they're going to present one bull for a sin offering, one young bull for a sin offering.
Question, Akika.
Yes.
Excuse me. This prince this prince in Ezekiel, is this the same or possibly the same one that's mentioned in Jeremiah, the 23rd chapter, I think 23:6 or something. His name is supposed to be Yah righteousness. His name shall be Yah's righteousness.
Yahweh Zakenu. Yeah.
Okay.
Yahweh Zakenu. Yes. So this prince, everyone, is a descendant of David. Okay. He's from that line, and you find that the Most High has not broken his promise. You could go to Jeremiah chapter number 33 to verify what I'm saying, starting at verse number 17. It tells you about Aaron's family, and it tells you about David's family. Okay. And so what we see is that the Most High is letting us know, like, okay, when you're in the wilderness, I established this, and when you were living in the land, I established it. Uh, and I gave oversight to Aharon and his family. But now I'm going to use one of David's sons to be an overseer of my people. And if you read in chapter number 44, 45, and 46, um, inclusive, you will find that this in particular person is going to have children. He's going to have sons. He can actually give some of, he's going to have inheritance property that's limited, and he can give some of his property to his sons, or he can give it to his servants. Whatever which way he decides, there's some regulations about that. I think the point that I'm trying to bring out here too is the fact that when you look at the New Testament, they say that, this character, Christ or whatever his name is, he paid for your sins and there won't be no more sin offering. So you can see clearly here in chapter number 45 that there is sin offering. There's sin offerings right here. He's going to make atonement. He's going to prepare these offerings, peace offerings, sin offerings. So you can put this in your notebook, in your Makbareth. You can have your own Makbareth, your scroll, notebook, and write it down and let people know, like, guess what? There is going to be an offering for sin, and it's not going to be a lamb. It's going to be a bull. Yes, Michelle.
I just want you to bring some clarity since you're you're on YouTube. Remember that video that I sent you, and we were talking about it, about the Moedim that's coming up, Pesach, right?
Yes.
Clarify that, for those that are listening, that these are practices and laws that we are to keep in the land, not in the land of your captivity.
Excellent.
Right?
You're right there. You dialed in because that's what we're going to be talking about in just a few moments. Everybody's up on it. On the 7 days, and then we're concluding here, on the 7 days of the feast, going back of this feast, talking about and this is about Kagmatzot. This is what he's going to be doing. Remember, the priests are the ones who are guarding that, making sure this is all done. We read that in the beginning of our teaching today, that the family of Levi are the ones who are teaching the differences. They're in charge of guarding the Shabbats. They're in charge of guarding the designated times. They're in charge of all that. So the point is that these individuals that are out here right now trying to tell you what to do, they're in error. And the bottom line is they still haven't learned, and they don't understand what and why they're in exile. They're just totally forgetting it. They think everything's mended, everything's cool. Everything's not cool. Okay. So on the 7 days of the feast, talking about Chag Matzot, he is to provide a burnt offering for Yahweh, 7 young bulls, 7 rams without defect daily for 7 days, a male goat daily as a sin offering. And so it's going again showing you about that sin offering. Okay. I want to end by saying the deeds of Yahweh are great, and all of us know this. They're greatly desired by all who enjoy them, right? His work is full of majesty, splendor, and his righteousness continues forever. He has gained renown for his wonders. Yahweh is merciful and compassionate, and he gives food to those who fear him. He remembers his covenant forever. He shows his people how powerful he works by giving them the nations as their heritage. So, this is the end game for you. Yahweh is going to show you and I how powerfully he works. So, what our ancestors, he worked for them by giving them the nations in which they were, Canaan and the Yavusi and the Kiti and the Imri and Og and Bashan and all these individuals, 31 kings that he destroyed. But he's telling us something about what he's going to do for us. All that was an example of what he's going to do for us for the whole world. So when you look at what he did for them, bringing them out of Egypt and them conquering these lands, and he said, I'm going to conquer them for you so you can have a place where you can live. And this is what I promised your fathers. They took that land by defeating the people who were there. Okay. Yah's intent is to give you and I the nations of the earth as your inheritance. That's going to be your inheritance. That's your heritage. Yah's going to demonstrate his power like he did with the children of Israel. He did it on a smaller scale. Okay, just listen to me carefully. When he went to go get us out of Mizraim, he went to go get us out of one location. Now it's him coming to get us out of all the locations, all over the world. Okay. First time he defeated Egypt, the Most High is going to defeat everyone where we are. He's going to destroy them. Okay. After he destroys them, right, he's going to, the nations that survive, because there are going to be some survivors, the nations that survive, he's going to subject them or subjugate them to us. We're going to be ruling over the nations. They're our heritage. So everything that they have, everything that they possess, whatever their goods and their products and services are going to be at our disposal. Okay. So so the first time was like a micro level, and now we're talking about a macro level. And this is the reason why you and I should be careful to do what he says. And this is what you don't want to miss out on. Okay. Because this is what Yah's intent is for us as his people. This is the word of the week that I want to teach you. Okay. Write this down. Last week I told you Horeni Yahweh Darkeka. Okay. Meaning teach me, cause me to know your ways. If you really desire that, the next part of that is this Yaked Lavavi. I don't want to give a long sentence for you. I want to give you the piece out of it that matters the most. And plus, I like the way that it sounds. Yaked. Can you say Yaked? Yaked Lavavi. Yaked Lavavi. Okay. Yaked Lavavi. Right? I don't need to tell you the letters. Okay. You can figure it out when you hear the L sound. You know that's Lamed. The Vav, you hear that. That's the Wa. Oh, excuse me, the bet, Vavi. Okay. Lavavi. The Lavavi is your heart, it's your mind. The Yaked is the unification of one. You're asking the Most High to unify your mind. That's what you're asking him to do. The Yaked Lavavi. And that should be your word that you rehearse and study for the rest of this week. That's all. You want a unification of mind. You want to be wholehearted with the Most High. And that's the only way that you and I will be able to be taught is when Yah unifies our mind. David understood that, right? So the Horeni meaning be taught Yahweh's ways, Yahweh to Darkeka, your ways. You and I can't be double-minded or triple-minded or quadruple-minded while we're walking on Yahweh's path, right? When we're learning his ways, because he's leading us all over the place. We're like sheep. They're going from one location to the next. So our pastures are in the scrolls. So when you and I are maneuvering and traveling and we're discovering new things, we're going to new places. And so when we get there, we want to eat, but we don't want to just get full and lay there and get tired. We want to eat and understand and look at our surroundings. So the unification of one's mind is the Yaked Lavavi. Okay. So I want you to meditate upon that this week. Yaked Lavavi. Ask the Most High. By the way, that is a command. That is an imperative. You're asking, that's your desire. You want a unification of your mind. Okay. And that happens through examination. So this week in the Torah, coming up, Yom Rishon will be Leviticus chapter number 1, verse number 1, verses 5 to 26. Chapter 1 to chapter 5, verse number 26. That's your reading assignment for this week. Read a little bit every single day. Meditate upon it. And do it with a Yaked Lavavi. Yaked sounds like Echad. It's the same root word. It's the unification. Echad, Yaked. Okay. The Haftarah this week is going to be found in the book, I believe, of Isaiah. Yes, Isaiah chapter number 43, verse number 21 to chapter number 44, verse number 23. You want to search the Makbaret. Okay. Search the scroll. Do your research. Find out. I'll start putting the pieces together. So when we go to different locations, like, hey, I remember that. There'll be another piece. I remember when we were over here at this part. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And finally, we have Tehillim, which is our time of meditation and reflection and singing and poetry found in the book of Psalms, chapters 1 all the way to chapter number 43 complete. Okay. Yes, Michelle.
I'm curious to know, how did they get or translate Psalms from Tehillim? Like, I don't see it.
I don't know. I just put the English here because a lot of people don't know what Tehillim means.
Right? No, yeah, that's I know that, but I'm just curious to know, if you had any clue as to.
No, I haven't, I did some research on it one time, but when I find out that I've been lied to, then I just kind of I get rid of it. I don't even think about it. So the first part, just Tay right here means you. That heel right there, but let's just put this H and these two L's right here is called halal. Okay. And then this is plurality. So you are going to bring light, multitude of light. That's what Tehillim means praise. Bringing praise means bringing light. And when you bring light to Yah is when you're praising him. You praise Yahweh through prayer. You praise Yahweh through praise. You praise Yahweh through the way that you live your life. You bring light. And when you bring light, you bring understanding. Because the Torah is light. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. The Torah is light. Okay. So in order for you to fully understand this, you have to Tehillim. You have to praise. You have to bring light to the Most High. Yesakoti kaladia.
Yes, I just wanted to verify the sin offering in Ezekiel is not referring to presumptuous sins, right?
Exactly. Yes, they're not for presumptuous. No,
Okay.
they're for inadvertent. That's a great question. To let everyone know, we're not dealing with sins that are done purposefully, right? They're not presumptuous, like I'm just going to go do this because I want to do it. That's not going to be the case. This is talking about organic, okay? Organically, and I use the word organic because it has to do with the human body. And it also has to do with what we have because we're unclean. We're a creature. We're a certain type of creation. And the holiness of the Most High, or the set apartness of the Most High, demands that we cleanse ourselves. And that's from not only things from physically, from our bodily fluids, but also too is our mistakes that we make, right? So we're destined to always make some type of error. There is no one perfect. That's why Shlomo said there's no one who doesn't sin. So he's being very clear. But see, the way when you're in a religion, it makes it say, well, I can do the evil that I'm doing because everyone does evil. No, it's not talking about. See, that's the idea behind being a Hebrew versus being any of these other nations. They have turned around and they've distorted our truth. Okay. Um, the kata of what we could do can be either two things. It can either be deliberate or it could be undeliberate. Okay. It means that you have done it inadvertently on an accident. Okay. That's what it is. Okay. It has to do with the biology of a male and a female too, because what's in you is life. And anytime life comes out of you, it dies. Okay. So the Most High is saying when you're in a state of uncleanness, you can't come to me because I'm life and I don't have death around me. You touch an unclean body, and then you have to go through a process of cleansing before you come to the Most High. So he's saying when I live with you, these are going to be the parameters in which you work in, right? So you're not going to be able to, you're not going to have unclean foods and stuff like that, but they'll be there like they're always going to be a torn animal. You just can't deal with it. There's always going to be someone who goes through a process of uncleanness for 7 days. That's how birth happens. There's always going to be an emission from a man. He's a man. You can't be around the Most High when you're in that case. You can't use the bathroom and then go to the Most High, without washing your body. You can't attend, any of these festivals in a state of uncleanness, in a sense that you, okay, are practicing uncleanness, like the priest. I forgot. I'll bring it up next time, but it's in Chronicles. It talks about how he told them to purify themselves. They have to go through a certain process that's even deeper than what you and I have to go through. So these are the rules and the regulations of the Most High. Now, I do want to share with you. I think what's his name brought out. Yes. Can you see my screen? Yes.
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 Okay. So we have some information that was given to us, a PDF, which is from the congregation of Bet Da'at Kokma Bina, which is called DBC. They wrote this in regards to Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And just to be clear, as Mashal was bringing out, we need to understand something. We are memorializing Pesach. We are memorializing Matzot. Okay. And the reason why we say that versus because we don't have a priesthood. So understand that there are no sacrifices that can be made in the lands of your enemies. Okay. Um, is there a time for us to memorialize this? Yes, you can. Because one of the key words that the Most High says to remember, right? To remember the Pesach, right? To remember this. So Passover is an appointed season, and I'll read right quickly, which the children of Israel are commanded to observe every year on the 14th. We know that. And this is how they're supposed to do it. It gives you the scripture. I'm just going to give you a brief overview. Okay, so the Feast of Unleavened Bread and Passover commemorate the Passover in Egypt. You and I know that. But one part that I wanted to share with you right quick is to tell you about, without going through all that, is that there are some products, and I think I can send this to you guys too. I would rather like to send it to you. But I do want you to know that there is a difference, what we talked about, and I'll talk about it next week as well, because Passover for us will be on the 12th of this calendar year. I mean, not the 12th. Is it 12th or 19th? Rick, are you here? Forgive me, you guys. My memory got shot right quick. But at any rate, Passover is coming. And one of the most important things to do for Pesach is to get prepared for the feats of Matzot or Kag Matzot, and is to get you to remove certain things from your house, which you can practice this. Okay. So it goes over everything that you need to understand about the yeast, the sourdough, all these things. Okay. Which I've spoken about in the past. Now, here's a list of the things that are mentioned that will tell you that you need to remove these items from your house. You say, well, Akika, I don't see any of these things in my house. Well, they're on your labels, on the products and the food that you have. So you want to remove these things. Now, take a screenshot or you take your phone out and take a picture of this. Okay. That's what I want you to do right quick.
If they put their email in the chat, I can take a screenshot of their email
Okay.
and send it directly to them.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So what it is that these are the ingredients that are found in some of the chemicals that are found inside of these products. You want to get rid of these things. And then in this, it kind of tells you about why they're saying the things that they're saying about or and kamats. Like I told you, they're two different things. They're not just get rid of the leaven. It's talking about the actual yeast that can refer to any agent that's inside of the bread. And it's just the way that how things were fermented back in the day, right? So we want to be clear about what you're supposed to be getting rid of, right? They say everything that I mentioned about kamatz being leaven, meaning cruel, right? To be read in terms of this, um, and how many times it's used. So they're just giving you some more understanding about it and what scriptures they use. And I agree with it. Okay, so she'll send that to you guys, but we want you to start getting prepared. And again, the idea behind the Pakude is to take inventory. We want you to take inventory. We want you to arrange your life, and that usually happens in spring. So it's time for cleaning. It's time to find out what's there. So this is an inventory check. So now what it is, if you think about the feast of Kagmatso, it's not just the element of getting rid of leaven, it's also to give you a fresh start, and it's also to have you go through inventory and see what's inside. Like I talked about the Kemas and the cruelty, it talks about what's inside of you. That's why he doesn't want that inside of us. So again, you can see Bakude being worked in that. It's being used to give you inventory, arrange, order, organization, you know, and letting you know if you don't do this, then I'm going to visit you. And I found out that you did not. You refuse to do this. So then Bakude means punishment. I'm going to hold you accountable for what. Okay. So anyone who has oversight of your household, it's your responsibility to take a picture of this, go through your home, go through your products, go through your freezer, go through your refrigerator, go through the freezer outside. Do not put these items in the trunk of your car. Remove them from your territory. So they don't go in your garage. Remove them from your territory. They do not go in your shed. Remove them from your territory. They don't go in your storage. Remove them from your territory. Any of your dwelling where you dwell, okay, it belongs to you. Yes, Michelle.
You could just store them in your Christian relative's home until the week after.
First time, yeah, you start your Christian. Well, I told you I had an uncle. I gave it to him, and he tripped out. Why are you giving this to me? What does it mean? I told him what it meant. He didn't want to have it no more. So I told him, well, I follow the Most High. But anyway, take note of that, everyone. Take a screenshot, Rivka. Yes, Rivka.
Yes, also remember to vacuum in your couches,
Did you guys hear what Rivka said?
yeah, vacuum in your couches, your cars, because we have leaven, from just regular everyday use of crumbs and things like that. So I made our children clean out their backpacks, the whole nine.
Awesome. See, and those are the things that a great overseer would do because, and it's her responsibility. So when she said what she said, then that means if she follows the rule, she would have to inspect what she expects, right? So you could tell someone to do something, right? And you may have confidence, but guess what? We found in the first time that we did this, we found later because we didn't inspect. We did it and we thought we were done. Do it and then go back and inspect it. Whoever does it, have a second eye look. Because I think we found some cookies somewhere. Yes, Kale.
Oh, hey, David. At the beginning of this document, you mentioned that we would not be offering up anything to like giving any burnt offerings. I just wanted to see, could you touch on that the document again, where you what why you mentioned that at the beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. Because and the document that we're looking at right now, or am I teaching?
I think you were talking about it here when you were at the top of the page.
Oh, okay. So yeah, what we're saying is that the Most High, and I think a scripture, I want to get a scripture for you that will help you understand the reason why. Okay. Um, I want to share one with you all to show you why the Most High is not going to accept that. Okay, so let me show it to you right quick. Show you. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and get this out of the way right quick. I want to show you a scripture to support what I'm saying, because I don't want you to be in danger of doing something that you don't supposed to do. Because even though you do it, you say, "Well, I didn't know. It was an accident. I didn't mean to do that." Is that going to justify you? No, it's not. It's not going to justify you. Okay. Um, and the reason why it's not going to justify us is because even if you make a mistake like Uzziah and you touch the Ark of the Covenant and you're not supposed to, then you know he exploded. He had the best intentions in the world.
Yeah, don't think that you can just go ahead and go build an altar somewhere and give up offerings to the Most High. Just because you think you're doing following the law. Those laws are to be followed in the land where
Right.
the Most High places His name.
There you go. Where is it at? Uh oh, okay. Here you go. Um, oh, oh, where is it at? Where is it at? You have several Bibles and you wrote something down. Oh, there it is. Okay, good. I got it. Freshly clean page Bible. All right, so here's the reason why you don't want to do this. Okay. Sorry for the ads. The reason why you don't want to think that you're doing something like this is because there's a penalty. There's a penalty for doing something, for making an offering or trying to, even out of your own ambition. Like, it's like that's indicative of a rebel, right? So in chapter number 66, I want to start in verse number 1, just so we can get context. The Most High says that heaven is my throne, says Yahweh, and the earth is my footstool. What kind of house could you build for me? What sort of place would you devise for my rest? Didn't I myself make all these things? This is how they all came to be, says Yahweh. The kind of person, and this is where I want us to listen very carefully, the kind of person in whom I look with favor is the one with a poor and humble spirit, who trembles at my word. Okay. So you're going to have some shake about you when you're reading his word about what he said. He says, okay, so those others, because the others are the ones who don't tremble, as might as well kill a person as an ox. Talking about an offering. Because that's what you do in an offering. You kill an ox for an offering. They might as well break a dog's neck as sacrifice a lamb. Talking about an offering. They might as well offer pig's blood as an offering, as a grain offering, as well as bless an idol as burnt incense. Just as these have chosen their ways and enjoy their disgusting practices. So that means they're going to do what they want to do. They don't tremble at his word. They're not afraid of what he said. They're not listening to his voice. Kind of like when he told the children of Israel, don't go up into the land now. You made me angry. Go back into the wilderness. They said, no, we're going to go anyway. Okay, so they're not afraid of the Most High. He's saying because these people are doing this, they're doing these, have chosen their ways. So when we go outside of what his ways are, and we're trying to devise our own plans and our own ways, he says, and they enjoy their disgusting practices. Anything that's not done according to the regulations of Yahweh is disgusting. Anything that he says that's supposed to be done by a certain group of people that is not by them, and you say, I'm going to choose to do it my way, then you are someone who doesn't tremble at his word. He says, so I will enjoy making fools of them. Okay? And bring the very things they fear. I'm going to bring on them the very things that they fear. What are you talking about? When I called, no one answered. When I spoke, they did not hear. Instead, they did what was evil in my sight, and they chose what did not please me. So they're going about to establish their own righteousness and doing what the way that they want to do it. Okay. Right. So they're pretending that they're priests. They're pretending that they're doing this. They're pretending. And so, we think because we're in exile and we found out who he is and his name and who the children of Israel are, that all of a sudden now he's changed the rules. And the rules haven't changed. They haven't changed. So here is what he says for you and I. Hear the word of Yahweh, you who tremble at his word. Okay? Your brothers who hate you and reject you because of my name have said, let Yahweh be glorified so we can see your joy, but they will be put to shame. Okay? So he's letting us know that there's going to be individuals that are still going to be insistent on doing the way that they want to do it. The laws, the statutes, and the commandments that the Most High has asked to be officiated has to be done in the land according to the laws and the statutes and the commandments that he gave to the children of Israel, more specifically the family of Levi. Period. So all you and I are to do is to memorialize, like we're doing the Shabbat. We're supposed to memorialize the Pesach. You know, if you make you some lamb, great. You know, you got some bitter herbs, great. You know, but he's not telling you to stay up all night with a stick in your hand waiting for him to come. That's religious. He's not telling you that. He's telling you to remember what I did for you. Pesach is a vigil of remembrance for what the Most High has done with the children of Israel by freeing them. Okay. The matzah, Chag Matzot, is a festival that is supposed to be done forever. Okay. He does say no matter where you are, meaning like you can still participate because you have control over that. Okay. But there are offerings that's supposed to be given that are not given. So remember, we read about the prince, how he's supposed to bring offerings. We read about the Leviim, how they're supposed to guard and show us, no, this ain't right. Nope, nope, nope. This can't be, can't bring this, can't do that. Nope. So there's a whole nother level. Okay. So I'm not trying to discourage this. I'm just trying to give us proper perspective about what the Most High has said. And it's for us to show respect unto the Most High. If you fear and you tremble at the Most High, and you fear him, you're going to do what he says, period. Okay. Any questions?
Yes. How do you make unleavened bread, or where do you buy it or get it?
Well, I did it real easy. I went to Amazon and looked for what they called matzah, right? I looked at matzah and I got that and I got it sent by Amazon and it came in a couple of days. You can buy a couple of boxes of that. It's really healthy. Get the one called Yehuda. It's from directly from the land of what they would call Israel. So it's made with no sodium, no cholesterol, no flour, no nothing, just all wheat. Okay. So it's really good. You can order it that way just to make it easier on yourself.
Got it.
So, Sister Eve, yes.
Sorry about that. Just a quick question. It's a silly one. Do you have examples of bitter herbs? Because I'm more familiar with normal herbs and spices.
Yeah. You got arugula. You have what are some other ones, Rifqua? You got arugula can be, you got some bitter
I just use arugula because it's
yeah,
pretty bitter.
pretty bitter.
You know,
Yeah.
some people use that red cabbage or something, you know, but so anything bitter, you know, or whatever. That's why I think arugula is about the easiest and the most bitter thing I could have found. I don't know if anybody else has anything that they use. Does anyone else have anything? What else has anyone seen anything different?
Anyone else?
Okay, yeah, dandelion greens, that would be good, yeah. You know, maybe even mustard were pretty bitter if they're raw. Yeah.